I'm gonna see if I can go further. That's where there's an offset, and that's probably where it dives down to get out in the street deeper.
Okay, so the place that, if I point here in this video, right there in the yard, is where it connects. That's where it connects to the city?
No. We'll push it more, but this is where it's leaving the property.
Okay. Okay. All right, so that's the direction that the plumbing line goes. All right, so we are looking for clay pipe. Most of the pipe is ABS. There's a small area of clay pipe. What they think happened is that the clay used to go all the way to the street and was replaced, so the line's really clean. And right there to right there, I suspect, is where we see clay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. It's a small piece because it's ABS under the house. Then it has like a 2-foot piece of clay, and then it's back to ABS.
And just to confirm, that's not an issue. It just happens to be there, right?
That's just when they tied the line in for whatever. I don't know why they didn't take the rest of that little piece out.
Right. Okay. Well, good. Then we have a completely clean line. So that's great. Alrighty. Thanks.
But at least everybody knows where it's at.
All right. This is just a random thing, but the sprinklers are going off here, and it appears that there is a leaking valve for the sprinkler system. So just gotta have a video done. All right, guys. So this is Casey. He is the general inspector, and so we're gonna go through everything that he's found just so we have an idea what it is. So where are we starting?
Okay, so on the roof, there's some multiple missing and damaged shingles with exposed felt paper in a lot of areas up there.
Okay.
And then a lot of the vent pipes need to be resealed along the base of the vent pipes. There's some cracked, deteriorated sealant on a lot of the vent pipes up there. So when a roofer goes up there to repair the other stuff, they might as well just tighten up and just seal all the other vent pipes penetrating.
How old would you say that roof is?
I think it's at least 20 years old, at least.
Okay.
But it's only one layer, so you know, to cut down on cost, you can put another layer of shingles over the top of that without having to strip it. But, you know, that would be up to a roofer. But, you know, you can put a second layer of shingles on there.
Now, I did notice on the back, I didn't notice on the front, but underneath the eaves, it's dark and sort of stained from, I don't know, do you think that that has anything to do with that wood needing to be replaced that's underneath there?
There's a chance. They said, you know, it's not too rotted out when you walk along the edge, but you know, when the shingles along the base, along the edge of the roof above the fascia fail, then that's where water will seep through, and that's why you get that staining on there as well.
Okay.
So, but you know, the north side of the house or the backyard is a lot better off than the south end, which has some actually wood rot on it, which termite guy might pop.
Yeah, we got the pest guy here, so he'll look at it. Okay, so what's next?
Inside the main electrical panel, there's a breaker that has 2 wires going to it, so it's a double tap breaker. There is room to add another breaker because there is an open void where there was a breaker and now there isn't. Okay, so if you got a replacement breaker put in there, you could just transfer the second wire up to that one. Correct. Okay. Water heater is a 2001 model. Does have a little bit of a knocking sound when you fill up the tub and you put multiple plumbing fixtures under the load of everything being turned on. And what does that mean? It just means that it's expanded and retracted so many times that the interior casing is just getting more and more weak, and that's why you hear that audible noise of it just expanding, retracting. What's the usual lifespan on a hot water heater? You know, at least 10 to 12 years. You'll get, you know, good 10 to 12 years out of them. This one we're at 16. Okay, so we're kind of a little bit on borrowed time. Was it okay with having a tray under it and strapping? It's outside, so we're good on that. The lower strap is a little too high. It should be raised, lowered down a little bit. The plumbing on top of it needs that black foam insulation, and the relief valve or the overflow line is using a water line rather than a sweated copper pipe. A water line as in PVC? No, as in the same kind of flexible connector that goes on top of the water heater. Okay, so... Do you want me to open the cover? We might as well take a look at it, yeah. So here we are to the closet to the water heater. I just noted obviously the enclosure door is not square in the frame, so it requires you to get a little screwdriver here, kind of pry it over here along the bottom in order to get in here. I think that's a feature. Okay, so right here is what I'm talking about here. These water pipes should have that black foam insulation around it. This is an overflow valve. So if this tank goes to overpressurize and want to explode, this valve is going to flip up to relieve the pressure on this tank. They're using a water connector, same kind of pipe that's here, they're using here. And so when this does overpressurize and want to explode, this is a point of water can leak from these connections. That's why they want a sweated copper pipe. Okay. Okay. strapping should be on the upper third and on the lower third of the casing. This lower strap is too high. It should be down about here somewhere.
Okay.
And again, it's a 2001 model, so you know, we're on borrowed time on that, so I do recommend a home warranty if Mark hasn't talked to you about it.
Okay, and while I'm out here, I'm just going to point out that's the clean out for your plumbing. So everything that was done on the earlier sewage line inspection is done through there.
In the backyard here,
Okay.
you have one sprinkler valve that leaks continuously over here.
All right.
Okay, and I think Mark already has a video of the broken valve in the front yard that's leaking enormously.
Actually, the sewer guy looked at it and he said there's 2 of them that are cracked. And
Okay.
his suggestion was to replace them with brass because even though it's more expensive, they don't crack.
Yeah, that's why there's some associations that only allow brass in their complex.
I see.
In case the snowbirds are gone and then they break while they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're gonna go over here to the side of the house. Okay, moving. This is your electrical panel like we talked about. You have an open void where there was once a breaker here and now there isn't, okay? And then one of these breakers you'll see in the picture has 2 wires going to it. So if we get a new breaker, we can put it into this void and be code compliant.
Cool. And the AC system?
AC system here, the only thing I know with the AC system here, and I don't know what you really can do about it, but you know, you don't need a disconnect where, you know, if the AC guy was gonna do service, there would be a disconnect box right here where he can pull out the fuse so he can service it without having to search for a breaker. Well, because of AC units adjacent to the panel, you're technically not required to have a disconnect. However, this conduit right here going from here to the wall is the wrong kind of conduit to have. So I would recommend installing a disconnect so that we can replace this conduit with a sealed rubber type conduit, because what happens is this corrugate separates right here and it starts unwinding, and that's why they don't like it anymore.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Moving forward over here, I always put this on my report because it's a free call to the gas company, but you got some rusted plumbing on your gas meter, and if you let them know that when you establish service in your name, they'll come and prime and paint it for you for free.
Okay.
Also, we're still on the west side of the house, and the support wall next to this gate on the west side of the house, it's loose, and it's not attached to the structure, and it's got some loose blocks.
You break it, you bought it there,
That's
buddy.
it. And then also on the southwest corner of the house, you see this conduit going up to that light fixture right there, and you have the exposed wiring that goes underneath the eave. They should have continued that conduit all the way up to hide that wiring.
Okay.
Side of the house here,
North patio, got
you
it.
got some damaged drain strip right here on your patio.
Okay.
Okay. The pool surface itself got a lot of chips plaster, a lot of pitted plaster, a lot of stained plaster, as well as it's missing. If you look right here in the spa, that's the kind of drain covers you want on your pool and spa. And if you go to your pool, you're missing that kind of drain cover.
And that's because small children can get sucked down and
hair
stuck.
and hair can get caught in it and everything, exactly. Okay, so that's why I noted that's missing the cover.
Okay.
And then the spa light did not work, it's burnt out.
Spa lights.
There's one switch that controls both lights. The pool light works, the spa light didn't.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna continue on over here to the east side of the house. We on or off?
Hover on.
Right here, this is your pool and spa equipment over here.
This is the pest
Well,
inspector.
that's
Oh,
a
he does
termite
not
guy. He's
want
not
to
a
be in
pool
there.
inspector.
Pest inspector.
What I
guy.
noted here is your pump.
All right, we're picking that back up. I got a phone call which stopped. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're still at the pool equipment here. What I noted here is you got a ground wire that's missing, so the pump is not grounded or bonded. It doesn't have a bonding wire.
Okay.
That same bonding wire should also connect to your pool heater, which looks like a relatively new heater, and it's also missing the bonding wire.
And bonding wire is really just a copper wire that goes to something shoved into
There's
the
a ground rod that's hammered into the earth, and then a copper wire connects the pump to a little clip on that ground rod that just bonds everything.
Okay.
So if somebody comes over here with wet feet to kind of touch valves or turn on switches, nothing gets zapped.
Okay.
Okay. And then I just noted that this conduit is separating as well, so you got some exposed wires right there.
Okay.
A little section of plumbing is not painted. You want that white PVC plumbing to get painted so it absorbs the ultraviolet rays of the sun and doesn't get brittle and cracked like the sprinkler valves mentioned earlier.
Okay. And that AC system, it all good on the AC?
Yeah, you know, it's a heat pump. So I mean, I actually had it on the heater and the AC since we've been here, so it actually works as heat and in the AC. So it totally conditions that added on space in there.
Okay, great.
In the day.
Okay.
Okay, so we're still in the backyard here. Like I said, you still got multiple areas where you got moisture stains. This is in better shape than the south side. South side actually has some wood rot in it, you know, but your termite guy's here, so he's going to supersede whatever I say on that end.
Okay.
That's his specialty.
Well, we'll get him.
He wants to replace it all, I know it.
All
Okay,
right.
so here we are in the south side of the house or the front yard. Again, going on to the eaves, we do got some wood rot. Got a little bit more damaged sheathing on some of these areas on the south side of the house, as you'll see in the pictures as well as in your termite report. This is the, like I said, you mentioned earlier here, these are where the sprinkler valves are broken and leaking. Okay, and a little bit of rotted fascia as well. So you got a little bit of wood rot on your fascia on the south side of the house. Looks like somebody hit something here with it, kind of bent this wood in a little bit here, a little bit of damaged wood here on this fascia on the south side of the house.
Okay.
Okay, cut. Okay, so now we're going into the garage. This is the door that separates the garage from the interior living area. It's called a fire door. It should be solid in construction, and every time you open it, it should shut on its own and latch. Yours is a proper door, but it's not self-closing and latching like it's designed to, and you do not have a smoke seal on the door casing.
Okay.
Also, if these switches turn on the garage lights, they're not turning them on, so I would start with maybe replacing the bulbs. But right now, I've got no response to these light fixtures in the garage. There are no switches inside the garage.
Okay.
Okay. What I noted here also is your garage door. You can see that the top frame of the garage door is missing some hardware right here, so it's separating from the garage door.
Oh, so it's not as rigid as it is.
Correct. And the further it goes up, the more it sags.
Okay, so that's just
It's missing a lag bolt,
securing it
looks
to
like.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's missing
And
a lag
by the
bolt.
way, in my agent notes, I put that there are these cracks in the wall, just so that people are aware of it. Okay?
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. All right, so now we're back in the house. What I noted in the house is the entry door coming into the house
Yeah.
and the door that goes into the added-on den do not have any door stop that's going to stop these doors from hitting the wall. So it's just
so
missing
you
a little
can
door stop.
Okay.
And then I just noted you got a cracked tile and some missing grout right at the entry here, right by the threshold.
Okay, I
Very
noted
minor in
that
nature, but
too.
minor.
Actually, while we're talking about things that were noted, I noted this crack here.
Some settling cracking, yeah. It's all settling cracking, nothing structural. You got a little bit underneath the main beam on that east wall.
Oh, and that's the other one that I noted that was about a foot long, but again, structural cracking or settling cracking. Okay. What else do we have?
Let's see, in the west bedroom, I just noted that the closet doors do not have the floor guide that keeps the doors from swinging in and out and possibly coming off track.
Okay.
So it's just a little guide on the ground there. We're in the master bathroom now. Let me get some light here. Your spa tub, I still left it full for everybody to see. It's not, the air switch is inoperative and damaged, so there's no way for the pump to kick on. So I can't tell you if the spa jets work, but I just noted it as inoperative with the inoperative air switch as well.
Okay, I noticed that outside next to the clean out
panel.
valves, there's a panel so you can
Yeah.
get in and work on that.
And then when you turn on these shower heads, you have multiple body heads on the shower. When I turn them on, it's still a little wet on the ground, but they leak. They kind of shoot out all over the place on these shower heads. So maybe when somebody's inside there and the doors are shut, they could probably adjust them, you know, and clean them up a little bit and keep them to where they shoot straight. But right now they kind of shoot all over.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then,
Anything else?
nope, hall
Except
bathroom.
this hall bath. Yes?
Going into the hall bathroom. The only thing I noted in the hall bathroom is there are a lot of cracked tiles on the shower wall right along this edge all the way around, and then on the shower pan you have a cracked tile or two as well.
Oh, I didn't even notice those. Okay. And then on the floor, where's the cracked tiles?
Right in the corner.
Oh, here. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
So that's what I noted in here really only.
Okay.
Now we're going to the kitchen next. Lastly, the last thing I noted here in the kitchen is two things. One being there's a GFCI outlet right here on this north wall. I called it the west outlet on the north wall adjacent to the sink.
Okay.
It's hot wired in reverse, which means the hot and the neutral are backwards, so it's not a grounded outlet. So therefore it's not going to trip like a GFCI outlet should.
Okay.
It should act like this. When I put it in the outlet, two yellow lights indicate that it's wired properly. pushing a button trips it to simulate becoming in contact with water,
Okay.
and resetting. That one's not functioning as such.
And while I'm here, I'm also going to note on my agent view, I noticed there was just staining around this particular canister lamp, but there's no cracking, so I don't know what that's about. And there's a crack just at the elbow joint there in the drywall.
Last thing I noted here is the dishwasher drain line does not have what's most commonly known as an air gap on top of the counter.
Okay.
So if you don't have that air gap, it's acceptable, but in order to do that, you need to have a high loop installation on your drain line, which would require you to take this rubber hose and install it higher up inside the cabinet to where it's higher than where it goes into the disposal. What you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to comp that high loop effect so that nothing can come out of the disposal and clog your dishwasher drain line.
Ah, okay.
Okay? Okay, going into the heater closet here, last thing I'm going to note here is this gas line that's going into the heater, this flexible style gas connector, it's not allowed to enter inside the heater. It needs to be a solid steel pipe that goes inside this heater, and then this flex line connects on the exterior of the housing.
Okay.
Okay? You have a dirty filter at the bottom of the heater right there. That's just a disposable type that you throw away. It's dirty right now.
That's going to put a little extra work on the system. About how old is this furnace?
2005.
Okay.
You have a 2006 air conditioner, a 2005 furnace, and a 2001 water heater.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Here we go.
All right, we're here with Travis. This is Palm Springs Pest, and he's going to show us there is some damage, so he's going to show us what's going on.
So we're not going to call this stuff here. This is just water staining. It's nothing penetrating into the wood. If you look here, the wood's about to break off here.
So it's
It's dry rot.
It's the fascia piece that's got dry rot. The actual supports, even though they're staining all the way along all of these, they're fine?
They're still supporting. They're still strong. Nothing's penetrating through.
Okay, so that's good. So with the fascia, how much of this fascia is... I mean, we've got like this one board. Is that a replace board, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, this whole section you can see. I mean, I didn't pry into every part of it, but it's real hollow.
Okay.
It goes all the way down. This piece here, I haven't measured it, but just kind of eyeballing it. It's probably about a 20 foot section.
Okay.
So it kind of goes down to here.
But all the rest of that staining, not compromised wood so much as it is just over time, water, whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Small little section down here at the end. This here we can just, do a cutout here and replace it. There's no need to replace the whole board.
Okay. And that's the only thing on the house. Everything else was pest free?
Yeah, everything else was good. There is a section under here under the eaves. I'll show you.
Okay.
So a little bit here.
Okay.
The fascia there. And then if you look underneath, this section here has fungus growing on it.
Okay.
I've probed into it, it goes right through. So this section here will need to be cut out and replaced.
Okay.
So, but other than that, everything's...
And that's the underpinning for the roof, which is also not in perfect shape otherwise. But
yeah,
you'd have to replace the roof shingle on top of that if that were to come out, probably?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a thin roof, so
All right, but otherwise, clean bill of health.
everything's good.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we lied. There was one other area. What do we have here?
One more spot here, just some fungus damage, some dry rot in here on this support, which really isn't supporting anyway.
Okay.
Just kind of floating there.
All righty.